Welcome back. This is Danberg SC. Today we have the newest member of the Gooder Clan with us today. We got Jboss. How are you, Ben?
I'm doing good, and you did?
Doing very well. We have started kind of coaching unofficially since last week, but today I wanted to go on the record and put our coaching up so he can look back on this in the future, and maybe this will also help other players that are of his league right now improve as well, and maybe other people on the ladder are having the same issues that he's having. So today we're going to look at Jboss. Let me just give a really quick background. Right now, Jboss is a Protoss. He's at 2769 MMR. He is currently in this season. Overall, he's got a pretty good win rate. Against everything as Protoss. He's 57% overall in PvP, 61% overall PvT, and 6% overall in PvZ. This season in particular, he's doing kick-ass in his PvP, and it looks like he's struggling in PvZ, but that's not still, we're not talking about bad numbers. 58% is very good. So, Jboss, with this coaching today, what is your, you have some replays ready for me?
Yeah, I got a couple, yeah.
What has been your biggest issue this week you think of?
Okay, the fact that I kinda, when I get pressured, I focus too much on the actual pressure and not focusing on my macro and like what's happening around me. Along with that, all I can say one word, and that's mutus.
That's why that PvZ is lower than everyone else. I see. Well, luckily, I mean, last week we practiced a little bit when I was doing Muta against you. You knew it was coming, though. I was telling you it was coming, and you did a really good job when you knew about it. So let's take a look at these replays, and let's talk about them a little bit. So I'll put you to the leader. I'll promote you to leader, and then
Okay.
Once you open the replay, put me back to leader so I can control the replay.
Yeah, sounds good. So I just make you leader in the party or host?
So open the replay up first, and then before you click watch, put me to leader really quick. Promote me to leader. And now hit the, there we go. Now I can hit watch. Perfect. Now I control the replay so I can pause it and do everything else. So
Sounds good.
this is a PvP. Okay. So talk me through
Some matches,
this.
I must warn you, some matches are pretty bad, and some are decent. But I have to put this out, the PvZ, one of the PvZs, you're gonna facepalm. I'm telling you now.
It's okay.
It's gonna make you hurt inside. It's gonna make you hurt, but...
It's
yeah.
alright. Alright, so what I want to look at right now is your first 3 mistakes, alright? So I want to look at your first 3 mistakes with this. That's all I'm caring about right now. So in PvP, what's your overall build idea, or what's your goal that you're trying to accomplish right now in this matchup?
I just try and run over them, well, people in my league, with out macroing them.
Okay.
And then hitting them by the 10-minute mark, somewhere there.
Okay, great.
Or if I see they have a weak army, I'll just rush in some units and just end the game right there, so I don't waste my time.
Good. Alright. Okay, so this is a standard PvP opener, right? 2 gate opener into cybernetics core right here. Yes, there's your cyber.
Yep.
Let's see your 20 pylon. There's your 20 pylon, 21 pylon, very good. Alright, so you're not supply block. Now I'm watching your probes. When are you not making probes? Is all I'm looking at right now. Alright. So far you're doing okay. There's nothing bad. Alright, keep going. I won't stop you there. Robo, it's not bad. Okay, so this is like a 3-gate Robo opener. This is very similar to what
I just spotted that he didn't make his second pylon in the right time, so I sold proxy.
Ah, I understand. Very good. So you understand that scouting, which is great. I don't even need you to understand that yet. Let's look at your minerals right now. 600 minerals and 112 gas. So your first issue that I see is you're not using these 3 gates that you used. So a standard opener in PvP is either a 4-stalker opener or a 3-stalker sentry opener. So let's go back. Let's go back a little bit. And
I know what I'm doing here. I'm doing an all-in, but yes, I don't know why I was floating that much. I shouldn't have been.
so your first mistake is of the macro cycle that we talked about, right? We talked about before this, we had a macro cycle for Protoss that is going to be probes, pylons, production, and then progress. And production is just making units and having production and being available, and progress is things like upgrades and new tech. So if we're looking at these, so far in that order of importance, you've not been supply blocked until now, so the first 2.5 minutes into the game, and you've been making workers. Right now you're not making a worker, but you almost have a fully saturated base. So I'm going to say you're doing decent with those first 2 points. They're not perfect. You're not at a perfect saturation on your main base yet, and you don't have a worker queued right now.
Yeah.
So we can improve that. Number 3 on that list is production. So right here, let's see how much is a stalker. We have 50 gas, 125 minerals. Let's see when you have 50 gas. Actually, let's go back in a minute. Let's go back up just a little bit more, because before you get this right here, yeah, right now. So you go robo before any units. It's a little bit dangerous. So what I would say is you need to make some units out, and you need to have some defense. So let's make this a standard opener, okay? So what I want you to do is, you don't really need to change anything about this from now on, but what you're going to do first is you're going to make 2 stalkers as soon as these 2 gateways are done, and you're going to start warp gate. That's where your first 150 gas is going to be. 2 stalkers and the warp gate upgrade, because it doesn't matter if you have a warp prism or anything like that. You can't use it if you don't have warp gate.
That's true.
So before any new tech, we need to get our production online, right? So if we don't have units and they come over, we're just dead. So 2 stalkers, get warp gate, and then while your next stalkers are building, if you have enough gas, you can get a factory. But I think honestly, you'll probably make 4 stalkers before that, but we'll just let that go. So there's your first mistakes, all right? So you need to make 2 fighting units before you make any new tech, and you need to get warp prism. And you didn't. Yeah, right now we need 1 more probe on our gas, and we haven't started it yet. So there's your first 3 mistakes. We need to make 22 workers perfectly. We need to get units out of these bases, and then we need to continue. So there's your first 3 mistakes, and now we're just going to look at the overall kind of flow of this game. So I'm going to turn it on to ×2.
Why am I concentrating on that probe so much? I don't know.
It happens. So we have enough gas. We have enough minerals right now to even take a natural.
Yeah, but this is an all-in, I'm pretty sure. Judging by how it plays 3 gates.
So we're supply blocked here. Yep. So this is just, again, we don't have that probes, pylons, production, and then progress. We don't have that kind of solidified in our brain yet, because if we're thinking probes and then immediately thinking pylons, and we look at our supply, we're not going to have that supply block that we just had right there. So having a warp prism and an
yeah, it was a very small supply block.
So we've got 600 minerals. I mean, right now, what's to stop you from... I know you're saying this is an all-in, but I'm seeing constantly 400 minerals that's not being spent right here, and that's a nexus. So we don't need to necessarily go into an all-in, right? Like, we could have just started a nexus, and we could have just continued out. So honestly, how I play, my personal playstyle for Protoss, it's a little bit greedy, and if they're doing an all-in, I need to scout it. But I go 4 stalkers as an opener, and then I take a nexus after I start my 4th stalkers, and then I go into tech. So I do the exact same opener you do, basically 2 gateways and a cybernetics core, but then I make 4 stalkers out of that. I'll make a 3rd gate if I need to, but usually I'll make 4 stalkers, I'll get a nexus, and then I'll go into my tech, and then I just continue making more and more probes, because right now you have enough for a nexus, and you've had enough for a nexus for about 2 minutes, and it only takes, how long does it take to build a nexus? It takes 71 seconds to build a nexus, so you could have had it done by now. But no worries. No worries. It's not... We are just working on...
No, that's very good advice, too. So it can just be a semi all-in and not an actual all-in.
Yep, it can be a pressure. Like this looks like a standard pressure to me, right?
Yeah.
So we've got good spending now. We're spending all right now. We've got another Immortal coming out. We've got new stuff going in. So we're spending okay. I mean, right now we're looking okay. We've got, now it looks like an all-in. We've got 24 workers. Drop a Nexus. Right?
Yeah, that's what I should have done.
Or you've got the ability to warp in right now. Right? So you have to decide, if you're going to all in, you need to be constantly thinking about using that production. Even if you're all inning, this is going to become probes, pylons, production, tech, or progress. Probes, pylons, production, progress. Even if you're all inning, you don't need to think about probes and somewhat pylons when you're all inning, but production and progress. Is your tech units coming out? Are you using your production that you have? Because you can either drop a Nexus or you could warp in 3 Stalkers right now. Or 4 Stalkers right now. Right?
Yeah.
We're not going to do either of that. Now we'll warp in. But look, we just warped in. We actually have enough to warp exactly that amount in right now. So you could have had 6 Stalkers additional right now instead of 4. Or instead of just 3. So
Yeah.
production, you need to focus on your production, but that's okay. It's this is why we're doing this. This is why we're talking about this. So if you want to do an all-in in
I would like
PvP,
to ask something.
go ahead.
What's the key? When I was watching your one live stream, I saw how you just swiped across the screen and you made a bunch of units.
Mhm.
Well, I mean, not made a bunch. Yeah, you did with your Protoss. What key do I use? Like, just when you see me warping in, that's me spamming clicking.
I understand. So I have rapid fire set up where I play a special type of keyboard setup called grid. Have you heard of this before?
No.
The grid. So basically, if you look at the command card, so you have like move command. Like if you click on a stalker, you have move, stop, hold position, patrol, and attack. Right? What
Yeah.
button do you hit for each of those?
I press A for attack and M for move and H for stop.
So mine, look at your keyboard and look at this. So move for me is Q, stop is W, hold position is E, patrol is R, attack is T, and then blink is Z. So the command card matches up with Q to T, A to G, Z to B. So I don't have different like hotkeys. All of it, I just look at where it is on the command card and I hit the correlating key on my keyboard into that spot. It's called grid.
Okay.
So I have it set up where if I hold Z, I can hold shift and I can warp in whatever unit I have selected, because Z is my like warp in button. So I can set that up for you later, but yeah, right now just worry about getting them warped in like this. After this coaching session, I'll show you how to set up that rapid fire warp in, because it is very helpful. You are correct. Doing that makes it very easy to warp in everything all at once.
Okay.
So you basically killed him now. I don't see how he could come back from this.
Against Dark Templar.
Yep. Oh, he has DTs. So let's look at our production tabs. Both of you guys. You have nothing in your production tab. Well, he's dying. He's dying aggressively right now. But he can't spend his cash. You're able to do another warp in. So I think what you need to do is when you're doing your attack, if you're going to look at your army, it's okay especially if you're doing an all-in. You can't just throw your army in if you're doing an all-in. If you're doing macro style builds, you can, but if you're doing an all-in and you want to look at your army, that's fine. But you need to be constantly, instead of like stutter stepping, you need to be looking at when can you warp in more, because you're not really getting supply blocks, but you're floating enough minerals to have more warp-ins that you're missing warp-ins. And my suggestion to you, if you miss a warp-in and you have the money, just take a Nexus, because it's not going to hurt you if you've missed the warp-in, right?
Yeah,
it's just going to make the game, if this doesn't work, then you've got a Nexus to fall back on.
Yeah, some context with why I wasn't warping it right now was because I knew I had a warp prism, so I didn't want to make any more stalkers they'll die. So I just saved the mortals and let the rest of my units die.
So you've got Observer coming out. forges coming out.
And I keep on seeing his Dark Temple going to my base, so then I just quickly just
The minerals
place
have
my
already
immortals.
gone.
Yep.
As soon as the Dark Temple leave,
You've hard walled off your base, which is great, so he can't really get in immediately. You've got the Templar.
And they're
Okay, there you go.
outta here.
So yeah, it wasn't bad. It wasn't bad. I think, again, the biggest points to get out of this is if you're doing an opener in PvP, you can do basically exactly this build. That's fine. If you want to do an all-in, there's really no wrong way to play StarCraft. You can do an all-in. Don't ever let anyone tell you that all-ins are a cheap way to play. It's not. That's how people win. The top players on the planet beat other top players on the planet by doing all-ins like this, especially in PvP. So don't feel bad about it ever. But if you are going to do an all-in, we need to make sure that we are even doing our macro cycle in an all-in. And the important parts of the macro cycle in the all-in is production and progress. So are we getting our tech units? Are we getting maybe an upgrade to do if this first timing isn't working? Or, you know, are we using our gates properly? So that's really what you need to be focused on. That's my only big advice from this. But again, your first 3 mistakes, you need to get your probes in, you need to start warp gate faster, and you need to get some units out in the front of this thing so you don't just die if they're going to do like a sword gate or something like that. But very good. Very good. Let's look at another one. I'll give you back the, I'll promote you back to leader.
Next up is Zerk. Okay, promote to leader and host.
Boom. Great. Excellent. Thank you. So let's do the same thing. So what are your first 3 mistakes in this? I want you to try to find them this time. I'm going to be quiet and I'm going to let you try to find your first 3 mistakes.
Okay.
Nice rally.
So far so good.
Are you doing an all-in?
No.
When are you going to take your Nexus?
It's just isn't it that when you spot an early pool, you get Cyber before Nexus?
Oh, yes, you can. I didn't realize it was that. Okay, so you're reacting to the scout. Oh, fantastic, great. I didn't even look at his side of the map. Yeah, he's going pool first, so yes, you are fine. You're getting a Zealot out of it. That's why I thought you were doing it all in. And then you get the Nexus behind it. Okay, perfect, yeah, you're doing great. Never mind. 100%.
Okay. I'm not producing a probe right now. That's what I know. So, yeah, pylon block.
So supply block was our first big issue, right? So your reaction was great. You're doing okay. You weren't able to make probes because of that supply block. So why did we get supply blocked? Let's talk about it.
Yeah, that was a heavy one.
What was that?
Yeah, no, it's just the supply block was one hell of a supply block heal.
Yep. So you needed to get your 21 pylon.
Yeah.
So I think it just comes down to a lack of experience with this opener, right? You've probably done this opener just a couple times when someone's going pool first. So my suggestion, let me get you to think about this. So how do you not get supply blocked? Let's look at what we're doing at 21 supply right here. So usually you're going to drop your pylon right about 20 supply where we are right here, right?
Yeah, it's probably just because, I don't know, yeah, I'm not very comfortable with early pools. You will find out with a bit more replays. Yeah, it's painful. But I don't know. I think this is just a normal, like, random mistake that humans sometimes make.
Okay, that's fine. So what I want to do is we're going to do something called bundling. All right, so bundling is how I memorize build orders and how I remember my reactions. Okay, so what I want you to do is anytime that you're getting pool first, when you start your zealot, pylon.
Oh, okay.
Right? So you shouldn't just be so when you're getting pool first, you think wall, zealot, right? That's your first idea, right? Wall then zealot. I want you
Yeah.
to add just one more thing. Wall, zealot, pylon. That's it.
Okay.
Wall, zealot, pylon, and then you could take your natural. And if you take your natural, after that, what you're going to be able to do is continue making workers. So don't stop making workers, right? Make workers continuously as you're getting all in, even if he's going to all in, because if you hold your wall, and you have a natural and you've been making workers, you just win. So your supply block, the issue is you didn't bundle it. You don't have it bundled properly. So as soon as your zealot starts, you should be thinking pylon. As soon as that zealot popped, you should have been almost done with that first supply block. And then you could have been making an adept right about now.
Yeah, I think I was saving up for an expansion, not realizing that I needed a pylon.
Third mistake is we are not getting warp gate again. So even if we were to start one unit of each of our gateways, like if we were to start 2 adepts or something like that, we would still have the money left over to start a warp gate. So even if you're getting all in, you always have enough money for warp gate, like 100 out of 100% of the time. So those are your first, not even your first 3 mistakes. Your first 2 mistakes is you forgot the pylon because it wasn't bundled with the zealot, and then you're not getting warp gate yet. So let's try to find number 3. I don't mind the shield battery, that's totally fine. Boom, there it was. So
What?
7 seconds you didn't make a probe here. Watch this last probe comes out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Oh, I have a question about this.
Go ahead.
I was once told by like a diamond player that I think that when I fully saturate my base, I cut probe production until second base is almost up.
That's at very high level. Don't worry about that until you hit at least Diamond League. Until you at least hit Diamond League. Because what that is for is in a very tight build order, you're going to have to cut probes in order to get out your 3rd gateway and to start making the unit, to get the production online that you need to spend the money that you're getting your drones, your probes.
Okay.
Until you hit at least Diamond, do not ever worry about cutting probe production. It is always 100% more beneficial for you to just have more probes than it is for anything else. Because honestly, 16 out of 16 is perfect saturation, but honestly, 24 out of 16, you actually get more minerals than 16 out of 16. 24 out of 16 means you have 3 probes per mineral patch, and there's about not even a half of a second, just a slight second, like not even a fraction of a second delay between when your first probe starts mining and when your second probe starts mining. If you have 3 probes on that delay is set to 0, and you actually get more money for it. Now, is it worth the amount of the probe that you have to spend on it? After a couple minutes, yes, but you're getting more income, which is always more important. Having more money is always the more important thing. So don't ever, ever, ever cut probe production until you have a very solid, locked in, this is my build order, this is my reaction to this. Like, later on when we're up in, Diamond 2, and you're reacting to some build order, and you're like, okay, I know I have to cut probes at 26, because if I make more than that, I'll just die. I don't have enough shit. If that's the case, yeah, cut probes. Right now, at where you are in this league right now, don't ever worry about that. Just constantly making probes. So that's your mistake number 3. So number 1, Zealot Pylon if you're getting pool first. and then immediately start warp gate. Immediately start warp gate as soon as you can, and then never stop making probes ever. So let's keep on going as higher level this time. So I like the tech going into Robo to defend it. I like sending out the Adept to see what's going on. That's great. Now let's just look at your probes. I want you to just stare at your production tab, and I want you to watch your probes. And let's see when you stop making them. Let's see the next issue when you stop making them. You're doing very good right now. There's a little bit of a delay on that one. Boom.
Now
There.
it's making
420. 420. What are we doing? So what are we? Let's look at your camera and let's see what we're doing right now. What are we doing that's more important than making probes?
I am facing an expansion.
Okay, trying to get an expansion out. Okay, I'm okay with that because you made this mistake in order to get your third base down, which is very good, by the way. All right, so I'll allow this. I'll allow that as long as you start making probes again right now.
Make the probes, damn it.
Okay, so you see why we're not at 66 probes by 6 minutes a lot of games?
Yeah.
All right, let's see when
I
you
just
start making probes.
completely
Right there,
forget.
boom. So we stopped, the last time we made a probe was at 4 minutes 23, and now we started again at 51. So there's 30 seconds where we didn't make any probes. How many seconds does it take to make a probe?
10?
12. 12 seconds
Oh,
to make
12.
a probe.
That's with 3 probes, basically.
Yeah, and I think you could have maybe chronoed 1. So that means that you could have made 2 in that 12 seconds. So you could have had maybe up to 7 more workers right now, which would have saturated your natural. You could have a fully saturated natural at this point. Instead you're 12 to 16, right? 30 seconds is a long time to not be making workers. So that's what I mean. Like, you could take your third base. Great, take your third base. Don't ever stop making workers. Don't ever stop making workers.
Okay.
Okay, I like you're getting upgrades. This is a great time for upgrades. There's no issues here. I'm just watching your money. You're starting to float a little bit of gas, but you're gonna... It's not terrible. You're still under 500, 500. And if you could stay under 500, 500, you're not going to be in Gold League for very long. So we're getting up
Yeah,
a
I'm
little bit
doing
more
my
gas.
multiple production, sort of. As I said that, I stopped doing what. There we go.
There we go. There we go. So let's see when we hit 66 workers. So we're at 6 minutes and we're at 51 workers.
Oh, I'm not making workers right now.
Yep. Right, so we get, once the game gets a little bit hectic, once we have a lot more stuff going on, so we made zealots instead of workers, I guess we're okay with 51. 51's enough workers, is what we've got here.
Damn, I haven't been making probes in a while all of a sudden.
Yep, so again, this is 51 workers is enough, I guess.
Yeah, so I'm like hurting myself. Oh, yeah. Okay.
So one thing I will say is that you're floating a lot of money without 66 workers, without 70 workers, right? So last time we played, I was saying, you know, like you should really be getting 75 workers and 80 workers. Right now, you need to learn how to spend your cash. So I'm going to tell you, you are not allowed to make more than 66 workers, but you need to have 66 workers before 6 minutes, all right?
No, I think this was a very scrappy match as well.
Yeah, this is a bit of a scrappy match, but you know what, honestly, I disagree. This is not a scrappy match. Because he attacked you with 4 Zerglings at 2 minutes, and then he has not been on your side of the map one time, and it is 8 minutes. That is 6 minutes of just macro. 6 minutes.
Yeah.
So it's not a very scrappy match, in my opinion, just from what I'm seeing right here. So you had all of the tools. It's scary, right? So now he's attacking you. But I think you're going to crush this with the Immortals and everything like that, and the charge
Yeah,
box.
and I'm not looking at my army right now.
Yep. You could be making more army behind this, right?
Yeah.
We could have made 2 more rounds of warpins. We have enough for 12 more zealots.
Okay, well, I shouldn't be looking at my army.
Research.
Yep. So you have all the right answers. You have all the right answers. You're saying everything that you need to be saying right. Now we're on 63 workers. We're starting to make workers again, which is great. You've got a 4th base going down, which is great. 4th base finished, which is wonderful. Let me open up the whole camera and see what's going on. Okay. I like your defensive stance. That's great. So yeah, what we're really working on, what we really need to get is your macro is not terrible. Like, you're not floating 2,000 minerals, right? Like, you're not. This isn't Silver League macro or anything like that. You're doing very well.
Yeah.
You're getting your production online. How many gateways do we have right now? Structures. We've got warp gates. We've got 9 warp gates, which is great. You should be thinking maybe about 3 warp gates per nexus you have. Is a good rule of thumb. You're sending in just a little bit of harassment down on his third. Great, wonderful.
Yeah, I'm concentrating too much on it though.
A little bit, yep. So we're starting to make workers behind it though. So we're at 75, which is great. So yeah, I think this game would have been over if we focused on making workers up to 66 workers as fast as we can before 6 minutes hits, and then spending our cash. And if we're doing that, you're gonna win very well. I like that you're waiting until you're maxed out to go and fight him. I really like that. That I will give you great compliments about.
Yeah, at this stage I was completely maxed out, so like I don't know.
You can't really lose at this point. So you're getting +3 as well. Going back around. So what's your going into Stargates? Okay, good. So good. You also have a plan for if I go in and this attack doesn't work, this is what we worked on last time, right? If we go in and this attack doesn't work, what am I going to come back on? We're going to come back on 3 Stargates, and we're going to max out on carriers slowly. But I honestly think that's just an assload of Immortal Archon, and that's just going to wreck his Roach army. Exactly. Great. So what did we get out of this? Let's take it from the top. In the beginning, if we're getting pool first, your reaction is perfect. Bundle it with getting your Zealot and your Pylon at the same time. After that, we never stop making workers, and we get Warp Gate as soon as we can. Once we start getting balance back out, you took a third at a great time, no problem. You took the third at a well time, but we stopped making workers at around 51. That is not excusable. We need to get up to at least 66 workers, at least, and we need to hit that before 6 minutes. And at 66 workers, as you start mining out, like if you look at your main base right now, you're at 15 of 8. As these bases start mining out, all you do is shift your workers to your new base, all right? So you don't need to saturate your full base. If we just took all of the excess drones from your first and all the excess drones from your natural, we would have probably been very close to saturating your main base, your fourth base, right? But now we actually need a 5th base right now because we have a bunch of unused workers. We almost have 16 unused workers on your first and second base. So we actually need another mineral line. And your third base is a little bit oversaturated on one of your gases too, right? So 66 workers, take your fourth, and as you start mining out, just rotate all your drones to the newest bases. That's what you need to do, just to keep on your 66 worker production booming, and then just spend your cash. But not bad, not bad. I see why you won this game.
Okay. Thank you.
Very good.
Yeah, no, I think that my main problem was not spending my money, and supply block in the beginning hurt.
Yeah, the supply block in the beginning was brutal. Very, very brutal for you to have to deal with 40 seconds of supply block at the very beginning of the match.
The next replay is traumatizing.
That's fine. These are the ones you learn from.
Not my worst. It's not my worst. My worst one is on the Golden Wall.
That's just a shit map, though. It's not your fault.
I hate it. I don't know how to wall in it, so I freaked out and messed everything. That's everything in a nutshell in that replay that's coming up.
All right, so I want you to pick out your first 3 mistakes of this match. All right.
Okay. I can tell you right off the bat, I didn't put my Zealots on hold. The one time I didn't put my Zealots on hold. That's all I'm gonna say. The one time. The one damn time.
I see.
And
he's gonna
screw everything up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I was so confused when I saw Zerglings running by. I'm like, what? Chrono.
Okay, good. I was gonna say, you caught it. You know your mistakes. That's why I didn't say anything. Wonderful, wonderful. All right. So you get the pool first information here. It seems. Pool first seems pretty popular on the UU ladder right now.
Yeah, for some reason that night I got pool first. What? Whatever. 12 pooled a lot. Whatever it's called.
So yeah, I like this idea of you blocking as natural with that. Even if you lose that probe, that's very valuable for you.
I don't lose it. I almost did. It was just lucky that I looked at it in time.
Okay, so pause it really quick.
Okay. Oh wait, did I not forget to make you leader?
So, it's okay, it's okay. So the last game that we saw, what was your reaction to seeing pool first?
It was cyber. Okay, yeah, this is a big thing.
Yeah. So I think that
yeah.
you need to, in your mind, if you have a reaction, this is what we talked about before, right? If you don't know what to do, then just continue on with your build order as you usually do. That's the most important. Or even I know you don't have a solid build order, but you don't make your second gate and your cyber before your nexus usually in a standard build order. So if you do have a reaction, you need to stick with that reaction every time, so that you can hone that reaction and you can make sure that that is the correct reaction. And if you lose because of that reaction, then we know that there's something different. But now you have you have the same situation set up. A Zerg is going to pool first you, and behind it you do two different things. You take a Nexus first on one and you do a wall first on the other. So now what we talked about last game about bundling your Zealot and your Pylon together, we can't do that in this match because we have the Nexus now. So it changes everything again. It's okay, but what I will say is if you have a reaction that you've done and that you like, stay with that reaction. Stay with that reaction 100% of the time. Keep going.
So what I was thinking of this match is, I don't know, my friend, he used to play Zerg. He used to do a 14 pool, and when I looked at this pool, like from the last match when I scouted it, it just finished, and with this match it wasn't finished just yet. So I thought that I had enough time to place an expansion, thinking it was a 14 pool, or it wasn't an aggressive thing, but no, I shouldn't think like that though.
Yeah.
Any early pool is aggressive.
Yeah, an early pool is an early pool is an early pool. It doesn't matter if it's a 13, a 12, a 15, a 17. An early pool means that he is going to send units at you. So what you need to do to defend that is you need to have a wall, and you need to have at least one adept or a sentry. If he's going to bane bust you, you need that sentry. So you have to kind of understand what he's getting at. He only has we can go into, I know I could teach you a lot of what this Zerg is probably going to do based on if he has a gas or not, but again, that's not really important. It's more important that you just have a reaction that you're working with, and then we tweak it as you need. So keep going. This is the first time that we're really talking about this, so this week when this kind of stuff happens again, you'll have an idea of what you should do.
Okay. Gas was a bit late.
Yep. So yeah, right now you're trying to do everything. You're trying to make us natural, you're trying to probe up, and you're trying to build a wall, and you're trying to get units. So you can't do everything. It doesn't work that way. StarCraft is not that kind of a game, and he's going to get these lings in your wall now. It doesn't matter. That probe is going to die unless you drop a pylon perfectly right now. Yeah, there it comes.
No.
So you had the wall. So this is the issue. So if we had done the same thing as we did in the last game, where we build the wall, we get the Zealot, we get the pylon right now, no issue. This is a lot of damage, but honestly, you still have more workers than he does right now. You're still ahead. He's on 14 workers, you're on 16 workers. You're still ahead right now.
Look at that.
Yeah, this is wall building 101. You'll have to learn how to build a wall. Now it's safe. Now you're safe.
I felt like an idiot. I felt like an idiot when I missed that block.
So now you're safe. So again, right now if you look at pause it really quick. Let's see who's ahead.
Okay.
All right. So let's take a look. So in your mineral line, I'll be honest with you, if you lose probes, what you should be focused on is not gas. You need to resaturate your minerals before anything else, right? Think about the very beginning of the game. If you have your mineral line saturated, that's when you start filling your gas, correct?
Oh yeah, okay.
There is no unit in this game that costs gas only. There is no unit in this game that costs gas only. Everything costs minerals or minerals and gas. So if you do not have a proper mineral income, you will never be able to spend a gas income. So right now you've got 6 workers on gas and you've got 9 workers on your minerals. Just take everything and saturate your mineral line again, and then start going back into gas, because you don't have minerals, you can't build more zealots, you You can't build more probes. You can't build more cannons. You can't build anything. You need minerals. So number one priority check is my mineral line saturated? That's what you really have to get back into. But let's look at what he has versus what you have. What does the Zerg have right now? Look at everything the Zerg has.
What hotkey is it?
If you hit the U key, you can see what units they have.
He has one less worker than me and barely any defense.
Yeah, so you have one adept right now. Can you kill 2 lings with 1 adept?
Yes,
Yes.
but he's a Zerg, so can't he just make more units?
Yeah, but then he doesn't have workers.
Oh, yeah.
Zerg can only make workers or units. That is it. He cannot make both. If he does, he's just going to die because he has no army and no workers. That's how Zerg works. That's one of the difficult things about playing Zerg, is to know when you should make units and when you should make workers. So if you see a lot of units, guess what that means? Not a lot of workers. If you see a lot of workers, that means not a lot of units. So you can build that. Now, a lot of workers now means a lot of units later, all right? So you have to understand that for Zerg. Like, it's a timing thing where they come way later. But if you see a lot of units right now at the beginning of the game, you are ahead. You can completely defend all of the rest of his army right now, and you have more workers than he does, and you have Chrono, and you have 2 Nexuses that are finished that can Chrono. He has 1 queen right now. 1 queen, which means his production is terrible because he has 1 larva right now, where even if he wants to make units, he can make 2 more Zerglings or 1 drone or an Overlord. That is the only thing he could do with that right now. So you are ahead.
Yeah.
You are ahead right now. So keep going. So yeah, I think you're beginning. You have to make sure that you're doing the same reaction each time. If you did the same reaction you did the first game, this game, even with the supply block, you take no damage. You take no damage.
Okay.
So I'm going to assume that you're going to start floating a lot of gas because you're not saturating your mineral line properly.
Yeah, probably.
3rd gate, but I still like this. You still have your build order on idea, right? So you've got a 3rd gate coming. Next is going to be a robo, I'm assuming, right? Yep, there's the robo.
Yeah.
So I know your build order now. And you're still doing your build order as you should be while you're doing this. So you've got the right idea. You're not just going, oh, fuck it, I guess we'll get something else. Like, okay, no, this is my build order. We're going to stick to my build order. We're going to do my build order. But there are little things to change on it, right? We need to focus on minerals before we focus on gas. And then even though our gas is going to be a little bit late, our tech is going to be a little bit great, we have the better economy. Right now we're still on... You're still ahead of him on workers. Or you just now tied him on workers.
Yeah.
Warp gate coming in, very good. You didn't delay it aggressively this game. Put it on ×2. I'm interested in when you're going to take your 3rd base.
I don't think I got to, and I don't think I wanted to because of the fact that how I thought back then before I started watching more videos this week and realizing that I normally do it like when my 2nd expansion or my spare expansion has half saturation, but then yeah.
Oh, there you go. There it is right down. That's no problem. He's going Spire behind this.
I should be using my Sentry's energy.
I like that idea. To scout, see what he's going to do, see where his 3rd base is, see what his worker count looks like. I mean, but your build is doing okay. Like, yeah, you're flowing a little bit of minerals. You're not freaking out, though.
Fighting. I shouldn't be fighting and I shouldn't be looking for army. Okay, I need to make some more gates.
This is exactly what you were saying before. So yeah, like, again, we've got the macro cycle. Probes, pylons, production, progress. When was the last... Pause it real quick. Rewind back.
Okay.
Rewind back a little bit. Let's look at your probes. Let's look at your probe count. So when was the last time you built a probe? Show me your most recent probe. You've got a 3rd base coming down.
Yeah.
If you hit the D key,
I must go back a bit.
Your production. If you just hit I think the B button. If you hit B, it'll back up 10 seconds. Okay, so there we go. So we got 3 probes in production right now. Hit play. Let's see when the next probes we make are. Alright, so it stopped 6:55 is when you stop making probes. Okay, 7 minutes. Okay, you're back. Is it just a couple seconds down? 7:15.
What was I doing?
So 15 seconds. Okay, so we'll see these 3 probes. Okay, now we're making 1 probe. Not bad, 2 probes. Okay, so there's about 30 seconds there again where we weren't making probes, right? So we're at 56 workers. We could have still been at 60 before 6 minutes, even with that weird beginning, I think. Honestly, we could have still done it. Because we've got 150 energy of Nexus energy, 79, and 123. So we could have been chronoing out workers like mad for the last 2 minutes and being at 66 already.
Yeah.
Right.
This stage, this is when I start freaking the hell out when I saw a million Mutalisks, and I looked at my army and I'm like, wait, anti-air?
Yeah, nothing shoots up. Yep. So what's your reaction? So what's your reaction then? If you see mutas, what are you thinking about doing?
3 stalkers in each mineral line, some veteran cannons.
Yeah, so honestly what you need to do, 3 stalkers in each mineral line and a shield battery. You don't even need cannons. 3 stalkers and a shield battery. How's our gate production going? We can warp in right now, but we're supply blocked. Okay. So he's supply blocking you. All right. So yeah, he supply blocked you. So what were the major reasons that you lost this game? What were the big reasons that you lost this game?
A very, very big reason is scouting info. I did not see that spire.
Okay.
And that led to my demise straight away. The fact that I didn't just attack him early on when he was pretty much defenseless, and I didn't get any stalkers. I didn't macro up hard enough.
Yeah,
I didn't make enough workers.
I honestly think the macro was the biggest issue. So rewind back to when the mutas finally show up. As soon as they hit your base the first time. So back up a little bit more. So right now is when they're about coming over, when you see the mutas. Okay, so pause it. 8 minutes. 8 minutes. So by this time, let's imagine we chronoed perfectly for the rest of this match. Could we have had 66 workers right now? We're at 56.
Yes, we would have.
About how much earlier do you think we could have been at 66 minutes? 66 workers. How much earlier until now could we have been there, do you think? Give me just a rough idea.
Like a minute or two.
Okay, let's say worst case, a minute ago you could have been at 66 workers. All right. So you know what? No, let's do 30 seconds. Let's just say it took you until 7 minutes and 30 seconds to make 66 workers. How many gates do you have right now?
I have 4.
4 gates. Okay, so let's say
no. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Yeah, so you've got more gates coming in right now. So let's say at 7:30, at 7 minutes and 30 seconds, you are able to start warping in units. Okay, so you're able to start warping in stalkers. Okay, and you're able to warp in 4 stalkers from 7:30, and 1 stalker takes 11 seconds, and then you can warp again.
Yeah.
So from 7 minutes and 30 seconds, we can start warping in stalkers. Let's just imagine that we could do that, okay? Now, when exactly does his mutas hit you? Tell me the exact minute.
Let me check.
Yep. All right, right here, right?
Now.
So we're at 8:17, so that's 45 seconds. How many stalkers could you warp in 45 seconds, even without using chrono?
I would have been able to warp in around about 16.
So do you think 16 stalkers would have dealt with his attack right now?
I think so.
Yeah, I do too. So I don't think your scouting has. Again, honestly, your scouting until Diamond doesn't matter, because if you just have more shit, He's not going to be able to kill you at all. Even if he was to run in with all of those mutas, if you just made Immortals and Zealots, you could A-move across the map and destroy, if you just A-move it across the map and he has those mutas there, guess what? He cannot kill all of those Immortals and Zealots. So you're going to come across the map and you're going to kill one of his bases, probably 2 of his bases. So what he has to do is he has to chase your Immortals and Stalkers down with the mutas. So now your base is safe. And then you warp in an assload of Stalkers. And then you walk across the map with the Stalkers. And before he's killed all your Immortal and Zealot, you've killed all of his mutas with the Stalkers that you just warped in, and then you just kill him anyway. So as much as the scouting would have helped, getting 66 workers by 7 minutes and 30 seconds. And remember, you said you could have probably done it 30 seconds faster than that even. You said you could have done it by 7 minutes. I said, no, let's wait until 7:30. I gave you 30 seconds extra delay, right? And even with that extra delay of 30 seconds, you still could have had about 16 Stalkers to warp in and then just crushed the shit out of this fight. That's how many mutas does he have? Totally, he has 17 mutas. You would have had almost 1 Stalker per muta. And guess what? A Stalker kills a muta one-on-one. So your macro is your number 1 key. As much as you want to say scouting and stuff like that, it's because you're not getting your workers fast enough because you're not using chrono. And after you get your chrono, you're not doing production. So macro cycle, probes, pylons, production, progress. If you just have more units than he does, it doesn't matter what he's making. You will kill it. You will kill it. So that's why you lost this game, is your macro.
Okay.
Very good, though. Very, very good.
I don't think I did good that round.
No, you didn't. It's. I've seen way worse. I've played way worse. Again.
I think, the very next match was a complete mirror of the last match.
Great.
It was very ironic. I was about to promote you to leader.
Oh, thank you. So let's see what your first 3 mistakes are again. Every time you lose a game, what are your first 3 mistakes? This is the most important thing.
Yeah, but I didn't get to promote you to leader in time.
So we've got a Platinum Zerg. Ooh. Alright. So let's see what we got here. Little late on the first pylon, but it's alright.
Yeah, I was busy trying to place it perfectly.
Yep, that's fine. Exactly. But if you're gonna place it, we already talked about that. If you're gonna place something, it better be in the perfect spot. If it's gonna be late and it's wrong, then it's just a mess. So this time you've got. Is it pull first?
Yes.
What's your reaction? What's your proper reaction that you should do?
Well, me now thinking I should just do Chrono Boost out of Zealot, get Cyber before Nexus, and get an Adept or a Sentry out, and then expand.
Yes. So what also comes down with the Zealot?
As soon as I start the Zealot, I must place a pylon directly afterwards.
Perfect. Okay. So there you go. Now this week, when you're fighting Zergs and they're going to pull first you have this reaction, and even if you lose to the reaction, even if you lose because of it, that's okay. We will talk next about why we lost it, right? So you have this good reaction, don't change it. Do it every time they do pull first. And if you lose, we'll talk, oh, okay, all you had to do was put this Zealot here, or all you had to do was make a pylon at this time, or all you had to do was do this instead. Little tweaks on it.
Okay.
No problem. So we're going to do the same thing we did last game. So we're going to do Nexus first, and then we're going to try to do everything. So we're going to get a second gas very soon here. No? Okay.
I'm going to guess that I get supply blocks.
Okay. So, yep, we get supply block because we didn't get this right. You've got a Zealot on the wall now, though. He runs in.
Yep. This is the mirror.
Alright. You're going to repower your stuff. You've got a nice Adept in the wall now. Alright, pause it again. Who's ahead?
You go to income. I am.
Yeah. So even though he got in, he killed 1 worker. You powered your shit. Oh god! It's panic! You're still ahead.
Jeez, actually, you scared me there for a second.
Sorry. I didn't mean to scare you.
It's fine. It's fine.
So yeah, right now, if he's got 7 lings and you've got 1 adept, so you need to get another adept. 1 adept does not kill 7 lings. If it's got a shield battery behind it, it does. But you need to get some stuff in, and you need to get your stuff online. So now, the beginning is done. All right, the beginning is okay. We've lived the beginning 8 lings or whatever those lings are. Right. So this is a 12 pool expand that he's doing. So what is your focus now? Before I hit play, you've got a great reaction for the beginning, but on the ladder, when you do this next, is you're going to have this perfect reaction to block his first push, and then you're going to go, okay, shit, now what? So if you don't know what to do, what is the number one thing that you should be focusing on?
Macro.
What's your macro
And a
cycle?
normal build order.
What is your macro cycle?
Probes, production, spending
pylons.
minerals, and pylons.
Yeah, so in the order: probes, pylons, production, progress. Probes, pylons, production.
How I normally anticipate the Zerg after doing an all-in. I normally anticipate that they go for a 2-base Rich Revenger push.
So what time do you think that would hit?
Around about 5-6 minutes.
Maybe a master player, yeah. If they open up pool first and they do that, and maybe if I was playing you, I would hit around 6 minutes with a bunch of Roach and Ravager. But I think maybe even my push would be close to 6:30, maybe 7, if I was doing Ravagers. So, yeah, you could think that. So if you want to check to see, how would you check that?
I would look at their gas.
You already answered yourself though. So what kind of attack would he do?
A Rich Revenger?
What kind of Roach Ravager?
What do you mean push?
A 2-base, right?
Yeah.
How do you know if he's on 2-base?
By harassment.
How if he has 2 bases only, right? If he has a 3rd base, it's not a 2-base push.
Yeah.
Right.
It's true.
So all you have to do is see, does he have a 3rd? Easy question. If he has a 3rd by 3 minutes and if he does an early opener to you, the latest 3rd is 3 minutes and 50 seconds. That is the absolute latest. Absolute latest. And honestly, that's pretty late. Like, honestly, 3 minutes and 3:20 is the latest you should really ever get a 3rd. 350 is if you squeeze out 1 more queen. If you go 4 queens before anything else. It's a build order I've done against Protoss in the past when 1 base was really popular against Zerg. But that would still, if they don't have a base by 4 minutes, it's a 2-base. And then guess what? You said that attack is going to hit maybe 6 minutes, 5 minutes, 6 minutes. Guess what? If you know it's coming at 4 minutes, that's 2 minutes to prepare for it. That's a lot of time. It's a lot of time to prepare for that. So, if you want to see if it's 2-base, does he have a 3rd base? If he doesn't have a 3rd base, it's a 2-base. If it's going to hit you at 6 minutes, you will know by 4 minutes. Easy peasy. Easy peasy. So, let's keep going. So, again, if you...
You're lagging a bit.
Okay, can you hear me now? Hello? Okay, yeah, sorry. I pulled out my headset. Is what happened. So yeah, I pulled that out. So okay, let me back up a bit. I pulled out my headset and I freaked myself out and I lost where I was going. So again, after you hold the beginning of this push, what you need to be doing is going into your macro cycle: probes, pylons, production, progress, pull, probes, pylons, production, progress. This is great. You've got 2 of those behind him. Your 1 gate is unpowered though. That's unfortunate. Yep. You have tons of cash to make probes. Now you can make a 2nd one. So yep. Honestly, if you don't know what to do, the best case is just you have to just get on your macro cycle. Probes, pylons, productions, progress. Drop your progress. So let's get a tech lab. Not a tech lab. Let's get an Evo chamber for a +1. Let's get a Robo for an Immortal. Let's get a tech Twilight Council so we can maybe even go into DTs or something like that. Okay, who is ahead right now? Really? Why would you say that? I'll tell you what. You saw how many zealots, how many zerglings has that adept killed? How many zerglings? How many does 8 zerglings cost? 50 per 50 per 2 lings. Yeah. No, 200, 200, 200, 200 200 minerals. And your other adept has killed 2 lings, so that's 250 minerals. How much does an adept cost? 125. That adept paid for itself almost by twice. So if you are on the same economy as a Zerg, if you as a Protoss are on the same economy as a Zerg, that means that you guys can basically make the same amount of units. But guess what? Protoss units kill way more Zerg units than Zerg units kill Protoss units. So if you are on the same economy as a Zerg, you are ahead. It is the Zerg's job to stay ahead of you in workers the entire game. If they are not ahead of a Protoss and workers, they are behind. Same with Terran. Zerg has to be ahead of you. So if you ever look at an income and you say, oh, we have the same worker count, you are ahead if you are playing Protoss against a Zerg. So you lost your cyber. We got to get your cyber back up. Okay, probably. One little advice, one little piece of advice is don't make 2 pylons part of your wall because that's really easy to blast down 8 banelings and that is dead. So you should make your cyber core as your front building in your wall, or that gate that you just made should have been in the front of your wall. But no worries, no worries. It's you learn this from experience. So let's go back to look at your production tab. Let's see how many workers we're making. We're making 2 workers at a time. Making 2 workers at a time. We got that down. 3 gates. So we're not making workers anymore. 34 is enough. 34 is not enough. And have we been able to make workers this entire game until this point? Basically, yes. So it's 6 minutes. How many should we have by now? About 60. We should have 66 before 6 minutes, right? 66 before 6 minutes. So, yep. So you have more workers than he does. He's floating in a crap ton of cash. He's trying to go for mutas again. But again, right now we should be exactly. Exactly. Yep. So it's okay to 2-base, but if you're going to 2-base, get 44 workers, not 38. Right? If you make a base, saturate it. That's my biggest advice for you. If you make a base, fill it up until you have 6 workers, and then do what you need to do. But your macro cycle, you have to be focused on your macro cycle. Even if you think, oh my god, I'm just gonna die. Oh my god, he's just gonna come across the map and murder me with all of his shit. You have to be thinking probes, pylons, production, and then progress, getting your tech and your higher tech units. Because I'm telling you, 9 out of 10 times you're just gonna have more shit than he does when he comes across the map, and you're just gonna kill him. Right? So we're taking a third now, which is not, it's not the worst time for a third base, especially with an aggressive opener. We're going to move down towards that, but I mean, we could have had enough workers by now. We've just hit 44. We just hit 44 a minute ago. Now he's on 54. Now he is a bit ahead. Let's look at upgrades. Upgrades, he's got 1 upgrade on you. Nope, not anymore. Oh, sorry, hit pause on accident. Mutas coming across. We're starting to warp in stalkers. 6 mutas. It's easy peasy. You have enough stalkers to deal with that now. Yep, you could be making workers, and that's enough stalkers to deal with that, basically. Yep, so the only reason you can't add is because you have two unpowered gates. Right? Yep. Yep, because you didn't have workers. Right? So, yes, they are. Yes, they are. Why are Archons amazing against Mutas? Do you know? Yes, and Mutas clump up when they attack. So you attack once with an Archon and it hits 15 or 16 Mutas at a time. That's why they are very, very good. Very, very, very good. Yep, you're 100% correct. Versigo. Versio. So now you're safe. So if I were you, I would be slamming out workers. Triple Chrono, slamming out workers. You're using your immortals. You're using your immortals across the map. It's okay. Again, so like you just don't have this idea of your priorities. So what we are going to work on this week, again, so every time you lose a game, I gave you a list of things to look at. And that list of things is, what were your first 3 mistakes in the match? And why did you make those first 3 mistakes? And what are you going to do to not make those first 3 mistakes again this match, right? So this is what we are going to be working on. And now after that, your main focus is 66 workers before 6 minutes. Did I hit that number? If I didn't, why did I not hit 66 workers before 6 minutes? Right? And then after all of that, the only thing you're focusing on is your macro cycle: probes, pylons, production, and progress. Probes, pylons, productions, and progress. And if we finally get all that done, if we finally get probes, pylons, productions, progress in our brains solidified 100%, that's what we do, you're going to start winning games and you're going to be in Platinum League very, very soon. No, it happens. So if you're starting to float a lot of minerals, if you're starting to float minerals, and that happens, if that happens, so what you want to do, especially against Zerg, just do in each of your mineral lines, just do 1 shield battery and 1 cannon, and that will help really alleviate a lot of mutas. Because I play muta, when I go against Protoss. So yeah, we'll do one more replay today. Look at one more replay, and we'll get in. Oh, it's good. It's against a Terran too, so we've got all 3 matchups. Perfect. It's okay. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. It's fine. So start on times 2 and we'll do the same thing. So what are our first 3 mistakes? And how are we doing our macro cycle? What does our macro cycle look like in this game? And are we going to hit 66 workers before 6 minutes? That's okay. Again, if you do an all-in, that's fine. But even if we're doing an all-in, what did we talk about the very first game? What's the most important part of an all-in? Yes. Your production, part of your macro cycle, the production point of your macro cycle, pylons and production, exactly. You're learning. So yeah, I'll post this video tonight. As soon as we're done with this, I'll post it up. So every time you want to come back and just watch this, just take a look at it every time. Every time if you're like, what the fuck am I doing wrong? He's gonna proxy you. If he proxies you, then and you're doing it all in, then this should actually be very good for you. Oh, what a douchebag. Space Grunt, if you're watching this, you're a piece of shit. Grow up, get out of Gold League, and then BM. Pause it. So, one massive piece of scouting information that you're going to have from this: when you went into his natural, if I'm just going to look at what you saw in his natural, you remember what I told you to check if you're seeing if a Terran is cheesing you or not with your first drone scout? If he has a barracks is good. There's one other thing. Does he have gas? Does he have gas? So if he has one gas, if he has two gas, or if he has zero gas, these mean very different things, right? So if he has one gas, that means, okay, it's probably going to be a Reaper or something like this. You know, he's going to maybe try to come out of this. It's not a super all in. If he has two gas, you're looking at Marauders. You're looking at, like, this is full on massive cheese. He has no gas. No gas. So what, just looking at this, what can he not make if he has no gas? Or Reapers. Reapers cost 50 gas. So what are you afraid of now? And one other thing that the SCV can do. Yes, SCVs and bunkers and Marines. That's all you have to worry about. And the only thing you have to worry about that, how would you counter that? What units would you build? Stalkers, exactly. Just stalkers. Stalkers outrange Marines. Stalkers outrange Marines. So if you the Marines aren't going to have stim. So if you're doing this correctly, you will not get hit by Marines basically. So yeah, stalkers are great. So let's watch this and let's see what you could have done in your macro cycle. We're just going to look at macro cycle now. You know that he's cheesing. So what you need to be thinking about is, okay, macro. As weird as that sounds, even you're like, fuck, I'm getting all in. We have to macro. Because macro, part of that is producing units. And if you're getting all in and you're not producing units, and he is, you're going to lose. So production is so important with this. So keep going. Keep going, but I'm 100%. If you don't memorize probes, pylons, production, progress, you will not get to gold. You will not get to Platinum League. It is super critical that you remember this. Okay. You're gonna get supply blocked at 23, I bet. You're not gonna make a probe. You're not gonna make a pylon. So what you should be thinking, pause it really quick. I'm sorry. I'm gonna talk about this a little bit. What is your reaction to if a Zerg is pool firsting you? What's your reaction if a Zerg goes pool first? Mm-hmm. And then we do a zealot and a pylon, right? For the Zerg, all in we do a zealot and then a pylon. So the zealot for the Zerg against a zealot, what that's going to do is it's going to allow you to block your wall. With a zealot against a Terran, what it's going to allow you to do is if they're going to try to build a bunker, you have a zealot to kill that SCV immediately. And then the bunker just never goes up. So right now, you want to make production. You've got 300 minerals. You want to spend it. So get a zealot, get a pylon, and then get ready for two stalkers to come out is what you need to do. If you have a zealot first, that's massive against anything. Any cheese, you should do the same thing. Anything that's not standard, not like a something expand, get a zealot, get a pylon, get stalkers. Zealot, pylon, stalkers, get a natural when you are floating enough minerals to get a natural. Keep making probes. That's what you should be doing. So keep going with this build. Let's see how this goes. Ah, yeah, but I mean, that means you need to get a forge. And honestly, I mean, you see it now that there's a 4 racks, right? You see this? So what I would have done, cancel the Nexus, build a shield battery, just make zealots on top of on top of this. That's all you need to do. This is going to be hard to hold. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You're not making units. You can make stalkers right now. You could have made 2 more stalkers right now. Right? Production. That's all you got to do. You just need to make sure that now you started them, right? Yep, it's okay. I mean, it's fine. Two stalkers, if you they would have been out by now, and then they would have been with that shield batter. You could have killed all those Marines. You could have killed all those Marines and kept this alive. It's okay. It's okay. Yeah, yeah. It's you're totally fine. You'll get it back. And again, so here's the cool thing about reactions, right? So we've got a set reaction now that anytime with any race, if it's Protoss, if you get over there and he doesn't have something that you see that's like, oh shit, this isn't normal. If you see a Zerg and you're like, oh shit, a pool first. If you get to a Terran and you're like, oh shit, he's got nothing in his barracks. He's got nothing in his main. What you're always going to do is the exact same thing. You're going to get Zealot first with a pylon behind it. Then you're going to start making Stalkers. And once you feel safe, and once you have the minerals for it, you're going to get a natural. But honestly, if there's something weird going on, especially against Terran, if you see like 4 racks, you're not going to be able to defend a Nexus. You're not going to be able to defend a Nexus, so just double down on Stalkers, protect your high ground, and don't let them get into your main. But very good. I mean, honestly, it's not bad. Probes, pylons, production, mainly production. Every time you try to do an all in, you're doing an all in, and then you're not making units to like support your all in. And then progress, once you're floating and once you're in your macro cycle. Okay, let's get some upgrades, let's get some new tech, let's go into DTs, let's go into voids, let's go into, let's get some fast tempests or something like that. Whatever you want, it doesn't really matter. Just as long as you're spending your cash and you have an economy, you should win. So very good today. Very good. That's the last. I'm gonna cut the recording here. We'll chat for a little bit after this, but very good overall. What are the big things? I've been repeating a lot of stuff. I want you to kind of tell me what you're going to absorb out of this and what you're going to take with you for this week on the ladder. Mm-hmm. 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 Yes, great. Exactly. I think if you take just those lessons with you this week, you should pop into Platinum 3. You should pop into Platinum 3. You've had a little bit of a rough last couple games. Last like 5 games were a little bit rough for you, but until then you had a nice big win streak, and I think you should be all right. But very much good luck, have fun this week. We'll do another coaching in maybe a week or maybe 2 weeks. Let this kind of process in and do some like spot fixes here and there. But yeah, at least in 2 weeks, let's come back and see how you're doing again. But thank you, boss. Thank you for taking time with me today to do this. It's been very fun. See you in the next one. No problem.